Hey guys, it's Dr. Roberts from Nashville, Neck and Back, and we're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to start a new series. This is going to kind of be a Q&A. I may read some comments. It could be a rambling video about health-related topics or even non-health, whatever's going on in my life or whatever's going on that seems worthy of talking about, we may do that. If you guys like this, if it takes off, if it gets views and you guys enjoy it, we may do some more. If it tanks, and you guys don't watch it and you don't like it, then we may not do it anymore. But if you saw the community post that I put up, some of you did post some questions. So we're going to get to that. And then we may talk about a few other things. I don't want to ramble on too long. But anyway, just testing the waters. See if you guys like this. Maybe get to know me a little bit better. And if you have any questions, if this video sparks any further questions, leave those in the comments below. But one question I get quite a lot is, like, how did you even get into YouTube, or how'd you get, like, what got you interested in YouTube? Well, it's kind of weird. I never thought I would be doing YouTube videos. It just kind of bloomed out of nowhere. But I didn't really watch YouTube all that much. I didn't get on there all that much until I was in chiropractic college. And reason being, hold up, time out. Let me back up. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm a chiropractor. I've been a chiropractor since 2014. Before that, if you've not watched the video, maybe I'll link it at the end of this video. It's how a professional wrestler became a chiropractor. For 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, I was a professional wrestler, traveled all over the world, had a great time with that. But with that career came some demons. And I fell into alcoholism. I fell into addiction, suffered with that for many, many years. Thankfully, by the grace of God, I was able to come out on the other end of that. And I've been clean and sober for like 16 years now, which is awesome. But when I got sober and then retired from wrestling, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I did some personal training for a while. I really enjoyed that. But in between the time of retiring from wrestling, being a personal trainer, and then going back to chiropractic college, there was a good year or so time period there. And I needed something to do because I was recently clean, recently sober. And as you know, what's the saying? Idle hands are the devil's enemy, or something like that. But just for an addict or an alcoholic, having nothing to do, having a lot of free time is not good, because your mind starts to wander. You start to get bored. You really got to be focused on something. You need some kind of goal in life so that you don't kind of have a tendency to slip back into your previous demons, so to speak. So anyway, again, I'm rambling. That's what this video is going to be. I may get off on a tangent, who knows? But in that time period, I kind of fell into another addiction. See, growing up, I grew up in the age of video games. So I grew up with an Atari, then a Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, every console that came out, PlayStations, all that stuff. That's kind of how I grew up. And so I played a few video games here and there after I got sober. None of them really drugged me in or caught my attention too much until I discovered a little known game of World of Warcraft. Yes, Dr. Roberts, me, chiropractor, was a huge WoW player, and it really took hold of me. Like, I was playing at one point in time, I would play all day. Like, as soon as I would wake up, I would log on. I would literally play all day. I wouldn't get out of the chair unless it was to go to the bathroom or get something to eat. I would chill out for a little bit in the evening when my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, would get home from work, spend time with her, obviously. But when she would go to bed, I would stay up all night playing World of Warcraft. It was crazy. But I just fell in love with that game and became totally obsessed and addicted to it for quite some time. Fast forward to when I went to chiropractic college. Logan Chiropractic College is right outside of St. Louis, Missouri. It's about a 4-year school, but they've got an accelerated program if you don't have all your undergraduate credits. So there was a few classes that I needed, like organic chemistry and physics and some other random classes. So I had to do that at first, which Side note, organic chemistry 1 and organic chemistry 2 almost kept me from even getting into chiropractic college. I damn near failed both those classes. Hardest class, just my brain doesn't work that way when you have to memorize all the stupid formations. Anyway, the problem got worse when I moved to St. Louis to go to chiropractic college because my wife had to stay. Well, was she married? Were we married? Yes, we were married at the time. So she had to stay back in Tennessee for several months because she still had a job back in Tennessee. She hadn't found a new job in St. Louis. So, but I had to go get started with school. So I moved up there and it was just me and the dog for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 3 to 6 months, something crazy like that. Just me by myself as I was completing this accelerated program. So actual chiropractic college, I would be in class. We were there from morning till evening, like 7 a.m. to like 5 in the afternoon, Monday through Friday. I mean, it was pretty intense. But this accelerated program, I mean, we may have class 2, 3, 4 hours a day. I don't even think it was every day of the week. It may have just been 2 or 3 days a week. It was something like that. But anyway, moral of the story is I had plenty of free time. So here I was already super addicted to WoW. Get up there. I don't have my wife to spend time with. Class isn't taking that long. And so what am I doing literally all day and all night? Playing this video game. So anyway, again, I'm going to lose my train of thought. Oh, try to get back on track. My wife finally was able to get a job there, move up there and be with me. And then once the accelerated program stopped and I actually started the initial semester of chiropractic college, that's when the workload became intense and insane. And I quickly realized I no longer had time to play this video game, which sucked. It was hard to give up because, like I said, I was addicted to it. Just like I was addicted to alcohol and drugs, I was addicted to this video game. So quitting that game was really hard at the time. But I did. Canceled my account, deleted the game from the computer, didn't play anymore. But I still was interested in the game. I still wanted to know what was going on. So that brings me all the way back, long story longer, to the whole YouTube thing because I was still interested in it. I still wanted to watch some of it. And I still wanted to see what was going on. So I discovered YouTube, which I really hadn't been on YouTube hardly at all, if ever, up until that point. And I stumbled upon some of the best channels on YouTube at the time. Some of these names you're going to remember because some of them are still going to this day. But Boogie 2988 was one of my favorite channels back in the day. His character Francis, before people really even knew, is Francis real or is this just make believe or whatever? But his channel and his stuff that he did with WoW was hilarious. One of the best videos ever. If you played back in that day, back in the time, go look up on YouTube, Boogie 2988 Scroll of Resurrection. Best video on YouTube, if you played back in the day, because it'll make sense. You'll understand it. But I watched him all the time, and I watched WoW Hobbs, and I watched Krindor, and then Hearthstone came out, and I got really interested in watching and playing Hearthstone, so I would watch Kriparian. And Hearthstone was actually a weird game because it was almost pre-Twitch, kind of. It was more fun for me anyway. It was more fun to watch people playing than to actually play it myself. Kind of weird. But I did play it for a while. But again, I would just get on YouTube and watch these people play or just watch them talk about the updates and gripe and complain. And anyway, and Total Biscuit. I don't think he was WoW so much as, what was the other Blizzard game? The space one, Star. Anyway, getting old, can't remember. But Total Biscuit, he passed away. But he was pretty awesome too. Anyway, where am I going with this? I'm going with this because once I started my own YouTube, and especially here recently with the reaction videos, one thing that always stood out in my mind was don't read the comments. Now, why does that stick out in my mind? Because of Boogie 2988. If you watched his stuff back in the day or even recently, you understand that he has gone through a significant journey on YouTube. His entire life has been in the public. He's got millions of views, millions of subs, and just has had a difficult time with weight and a million other things. But he would really struggle with mental health, and he would really struggle, as well as a lot of other YouTubers, from just the comments. And it's very true. I didn't realize how bad this was. And this is all social media, not just YouTube, but this goes for Facebook and Twitter and whatever else. Man, you can post something on there and get 100 positive comments, likes, feedback, everything could be, man, this is the greatest thing ever. We're so supportive. We love you, blah, 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 blah. And you get one negative comment, or you get one jerk, one troll that says something that's negative or attacks you or hits you in one of your sensitive spots. And you're just like, man. And that just like ruins your day if you let it. And it can just like wipe out and ignore all those other great comments, all those other supportive feedback. And your mind just replays that negative comment over and over and over. And it can be really detrimental to your mental health if you allow it and if you go down that road. So that's why I really didn't pay too much attention to the comments, or try not to in the beginning. But as I was doing these videos, and even before I started doing the reaction videos, most of the comments were pretty good. Now, until I did the video on the creepy car, Bender and all that stuff, then he's got such a fanboy following. A lot of his simps and trolls came over and posted some really harsh comments. I allowed most of those. The only ones I deleted if they were super harsh or attacking other people's comments, like personal attacks or anything stupid like that, or if they made just a blatant attack against the chiropractic profession, then I would just delete that. But, for the most part, I got a kick out of it and fought back a little bit, like would reply back with a snarky or probably a comment that I should just leave alone, but I would comment back just to have some fun with them. But, for the most part, I have thoroughly enjoyed this journey so far, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the comments so far. I try to reply to some of them if they seem to be engaging. If it's just like, oh, that's funny, I may not reply to that. But if you ask a question, if you have a question, whether it's about the video or you want to see a different type of video, or you have a certain channel, or you just have a question in general about chiropractic or about me, leave that on there. I'm glad to take a look at those. Now, the one things that I try to avoid, if you're going to ask me a specific health related question, I try not to give advice on that, because that's kind of opening the door to some liability and some other stuff where I don't want to give a complete stranger that could be anywhere else in the world medical advice over a social media platform. So don't ask me that personal stuff. If you do have something that you really are concerned about, I'm probably just going to refer you to trust your local physician. Or if you don't have one, I'll be like, hey, go see a primary, go see a chiropractor, get their advice. But I do appreciate the comments so far. Another thing that I thought has been weird, that when I first started watching these chiropractors, I kind of dismissed or thought they were lying or thought it was all BS. But since doing this, I see that it's true. Having patients travel across the country or from other countries to see you just because you're on YouTube, I guess is a real thing. Because since doing this, I've had people from all over the country email or send me direct message on Instagram or leave comments or Facebook messages or whatever, or call the office. And it's like, man, I really want to help these people. I try to talk to them. I give them my honest opinion, but I also try to talk to them. Look, I'm not trying to brag about, hey, this guy from California flew all the way. I don't care about that. And I'm probably not going to do a video with that patient in the office anyway. So I don't want to waste anybody's time or anybody's money coming all the way to see. I even had some guy message me lately from Mexico saying he was willing to travel to the States. I'm like, dude, please don't waste your time and your money, because I'm probably not going to fix a 20-year problem in one visit. And I don't want you coming up here thinking that that's going to be the case, where the other chiropractors on YouTube may promise that or may not say that, but may allude to it. I would rather try to help you find somebody local or close to you that's going to be able to provide you with the benefit, as opposed to stroking my ego saying, oh, well, I had these patients come from this state and this state and this country just because I'm such a great chiropractor. Now, I know a lot of chiropractors on YouTube do like to brag about that because they're very narcissistic and they're ego driven. I'm just not like that. And for the most part, unless you're close to me, I would probably talk you out of trying to come see me, to be honest, because there's too many good chiropractors out there. There's too many good physicians out there that can probably address your concerns without driving or flying all day just to come see some guy in Middle Tennessee. Just my thoughts. But anyway, boy, I have rambled on for a little bit. So let's get to some of these questions that you guys posted. I put this up a couple days ago on the community post. Q&A, Ask Me Anything. We've got a few here, so let's dive right into this. All right, so Corey, and forgive me if I mispronounce these names, but it looks like Corey Michelini. Was it scary the first time you had to adjust someone's neck? If so, how did you get over that fear of possibly injuring someone severely? All right, so excellent question. So when we're in chiropractic school, about halfway through, we're starting to practice on each other, fellow students in our class. Everybody's terrible. I mean, it probably took 2 years after graduating chiropractic college to start to feel normal again, because we beat the crap out of each other, trying to get better, trying to learn and practice on each other. I will say this, from my experience, and there's going to be outliers, but from my experience, when a chiropractor graduates chiropractic school, or even while they're in it, there's probably one adjustment that they're probably really good at or comfortable with. Maybe not really good at, but they're comfortable doing. And there's probably one or two that they're struggling with, whether it's a physical struggle or all mental. For me personally, the neck adjustment was easy. It was difficult at first until the first time I did it successfully. And then it was like riding a bike. It was kind of like that light bulb or aha moment. I was like, oh, that's it. That's not that bad. I can do that. And then after that, it was just super easy. The one that I struggled with personally in student clinic, and even after I got out for a little bit, was the side posture. The one where the patient's laying on their side, and the patient's top leg gets brought up, and the chiropractor kind of rolls them over and drops on them. For whatever reason, I just had this mental struggle with like the physics of it, and could not comfortably, successfully do that adjustment for quite some time. And it wasn't anything that I was really doing wrong. It was just I had a different mental view of what that adjustment should look like. But I finally got over that, and you just, with like anything else in life, the more you do it, the better you get at it. But going back to your question, was it scary? Maybe. I mean, it's hard for me to think that far back. It probably was a little scary, any of the adjustments. How'd you get over that fear? Like I said, just you got to practice. And the first time it went successfully, then it was super easy for me. And possibly injuring someone severely. No, none of us were worried about injuring somebody severely, because in order to injure somebody severely, you would have to be two things. One, terrible, and super, 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 super aggressive, which is just the opposite of what we all were in the beginning. We were super timid. We weren't thrusting or adjusting hard enough because we were scared or hesitant, timid, whatever you want to say. So anyway, hope that answers your question. Let's go on down to the next one. Logan Thrift 11, what's your favorite sport besides wrestling to watch? Well, I don't even watch wrestling anymore. It's not the wrestling that I grew up with. It's not even the wrestling that I was a part of anymore. So I just don't even watch it. I don't like the product, and I don't watch it. Haven't watched it in forever. Really, the only sport that I'm into is college football. I don't really watch the NFL hardly at all until it's like playoffs, Super Bowl time. But I am a huge college football fan, big Ohio State Buckeye fan. Not a huge fan with the direction that college football is going. I do like the extended playoff now that they got, 12 teams. But this whole NIL thing, it's basically NFL Junior, where these kids are making – I was a huge proponent of these college football kids getting paid, especially back during like the NCAA football EA Sports games. I still am a proponent of them getting paid somehow. I do not like how it's just this massive free agency and these kids are getting Lamborghinis dropped off, and I don't like it. I think it's NFL like junior league, and it's going to get to the point where you don't even know what your team is anymore. It's going to change so much from year to year, and because so many people are going to transfer back. Anyway. So college football, a little bit of college basketball, especially around March Madness. Back in the day, I was a huge NBA fan. I can't stand the NBA anymore. But those are my favorite sports. All right, so let's go on down to Ray Jeeves 8000. The Cold War was neither cold nor a war. Discuss. Very true. That reminds me, what is it? The Saturday Night Live Mike Myers, when they were all dressed up as women and they coffee talk. It reminds me of a coffee talk question. Seriously though, how late is too late to get into chiropractic as a career? Do you have to have killer grades to be as accepted to school? And which school is good for one amount of money to be spent? Thanks. Keep up the great videos. So, don't forget to review Ace Thayer on SoCal Chiropractic. I will get to that. I've got a huge list of chiropractors that I've got, so don't worry. I will get around to doing that. But how late is too late? Man, I started late. Like I said, I was a professional wrestler for 10 years, so I went back to chiropractic college. I was 30 years old. I was one of the older guys in class. All these other kids were fresh out of undergrad, so they were like 21, 22, 23 years old. I was 30, so that was kind of hard. I wasn't the oldest. There were definitely older. I want to say I know there was one guy in his 40s, and I think there was another guy and another woman in their 50s in my class. So if it's what you want to do it. Do you have to have killer grades? I would say no. I would say most chiropractic colleges, at least back when I was there, they're going to take anybody they can get in the door because they want that tuition money. Now, are you going to last? That's the question. When I started, Logan had 10 trimesters, not semesters, trimesters. Try 1 and try 2 and a little bit of try 3 were the hardest in my opinion and most people's opinions, and it was designed that way to kind of weed people out. They're more than happy to get you in that first try or that second try, like I said, to get that tuition money. But you do need to be somewhat smart to get through the rest of it. But we did see a ton of people that started that should have never been accepted, that had no business being there. And I'm talking about academically. And they struggled and they struggled and they struggled and they kept out taking loans. They kept taking out loans. It was just sad to see. So do you have to have killer grades? No. Do you need to be fairly smart? Yes. Which school is a good one for the amount of money? They're all too expensive. You're probably looking, and this is 10 years ago when I was there, you're probably looking at $200,000 to $300,000 worth of student loans, unless you can pay it as you go, or you can work while you're there. So it's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. So just keep that in mind. I went to Logan. If I was going to recommend a school, I know this wasn't part of your question, I would recommend Logan, Palmer, or probably Parker. Those are probably the three big ones that I would recommend the most. There's several new ones that have been new since I've been out, so I'm not saying that those aren't good schools. I just don't know anything about them. Okay, let's go on down to Sean McCate 8770. If TNA or any other promotion called you up and asked you to go one more time for a ton of cash, would you? Absolutely not. There's no amount of money. Well, I shouldn't say that, but there's no amount of money that I know TNA would come up with that would get me back in the ring. Now, if they wanted an anniversary deal or like a reunion type deal or a signing or a promotion type thing, or that's one thing. But to lace up the boots and get back in the ring, no way. Number one, because I wouldn't be in the type of shape that I would want to be to present myself in that situation. And number two, it'd just be too much of a risk. If I were to get in there and trip, blow out my knee, sprain an ankle, hurt a wrist, dislocate a shoulder, I mean, who else is going to run my practice? So yeah, it would be way too much of a risk. But any of those other situations I would be open to. All right, let's talk Jason K. 8539. Have you ever watched anything by Dr. Christopher Dorsa? I'm wondering what you think. So, yes, I have seen some of his. He just recently did a pretty cool podcast with a buddy of mine. Look him up on YouTube or any podcast if you're interested in chiropractic. It's more directed at chiropractors, not patients or anybody else. But Jerry Kennedy at Rocket Chiro, awesome guy. He recently did a podcast with Christopher Dorsa. So if you want to watch that, go look it up. It's on YouTube. But yeah, he's definitely on the list of channels that I want to take a look at. From what I've seen so far, it's basically nothing but porn stars, which he's definitely carved out a niche for himself. And he gets a ton of views because of that reason. But in that podcast, he did mention that he's wanting to kind of veer away from that. So it'd be interesting to see what he does next. Seems like a legit dude, seems to know his stuff. So definitely a good channel to watch. All right. So now, where are we at? All right. At 2 Peach, your thoughts on having pineapple on pizza? Not a fan. Not a fan. Pineapple does not belong on pizza. I will eat it. I will eat the Hawaiian style pizza. And I will say that it's my daughter's favorite. She loves ham and pineapple on pizza. Not my favorite though. I'm a straight up just pineapple dude. I like Supreme as well. Yeah, but pineapple, not so much. Now, I will say the best pizza ever. If you've got one near you, you're super lucky. Destin, Florida has one. Charleston, South Carolina has one. Grimaldi's Pizza. They do the oven, the fire oven, but it's a charcoal oven. So the bottom of your pizza, if you've never had it, it may be weird at first. You may think it's gross, but the bottom of your pizza is like, it looks burnt, but it's not. It's just black charcoal, like charcoal dust, which sounds disgusting. Seriously, it's the best pizza ever. Just go get a pepperoni pizza. Don't get anything super fancy. Pepperoni pizza from Grimaldi's. You'll thank me later. All right, let's go down to, oh, wait a minute. He got Sean McCate again, 8770. Do you prefer Star Trek or Star Wars? This is obvious, easy, super simple. Star Wars. All day, every day. So, never did get into Star Trek. The movies are okay. I don't mind watching the movies from time to time, but the old TV show with William Shatner, never was a big fan of as a kid. However, my dad, when I was growing up, my dad was like a technology geek. So anybody my age or older will know that back in the day, way before even DirecTV, when satellite first came out, it was those giant satellite dishes that would be out in somebody's yard. And when you changed the channel, you would have to change the channel to move the entire satellite dish to point at a certain satellite up in the sky. So my dad was like an early adopter, I guess you might say. He had that. He would have the old giant stereo rack in the glass cabinet that you weren't allowed to touch. He had a VCR before anybody had a VCR. And I'll never forget when I would go visit him on the weekend, Star Wars was like the movie, the original first Star Wars, A New Hope, that I would watch over and over and over till they were sick of it. I watched it so much that the VHS tape, the tape inside actually snapped and broke, and they had to go buy another tape. But yeah, by far, huge Star Wars fan, at least up until recently when they've destroyed it. All right, next from Jack Hammer Joe, who let the dogs out? My friend, that is a very deep question. I don't think we have enough time to discuss such a thorough and in-depth solution to that question. Maybe on the next one. Let's go down. All right, 2 more to go, and then we'll wrap this up. At Coyote, I see some videos that seem to focus as much or more on massage than on a joint adjustment. Is there a time during chiropractic school that is more dedicated to massage, or is the massage training something entirely different? So the amount of timing, and again, this is just my personal experience. I've been out for a while. It may be different now, but the amount of time that we spent working on massage therapy in chiropractic college was 0, none whatsoever. Now, having said that, if you wanted to take additional courses in like soft tissue work, like Graston or other types of techniques like that, that was available. But that's not exactly the same as massage therapy or becoming a licensed massage therapist. So if you wanted to do that, and you could be a chiropractor and an LMT, you would have to do the additional training and certification to do so. Now, I'm assuming that your question is coming from a lot of what you see on YouTube, where you see these YouTube channels with chiropractors, and half the video is them just rubbing on women. That's for views. That's for clicks. It's not what's going to happen in the majority of your chiropractic offices. If it does, it's definitely not going to happen like it looks on YouTube, where the woman's topless or has her bra strap undone or whatever. It's not like that. There may be some massaging, there may be some muscle work, there may be some soft tissue work, but keep in mind, YouTube is entertainment. The majority of what you see on YouTube is for that purpose, entertainment. And just, yeah, I'll leave it at that. All right, so we're down to the last question from Joe Peters 5288. Are you a Democrat or a Republican? Well, I'm not going to talk about that because I don't like to talk about politics on the channel or even in my office. I will say this, I'm not pro-Democrat or pro-Republican. I am pro-American. Not a cheesy answer, just truthful. So if anything, when I was old enough, the first time I voted was when I was 18, and that happened to be an election year. And I voted for Ross Perot. If you ask me why, I have no idea why. It was so long ago, but I do remember he was an independent, or this party was called something. It was basically an independent. He wasn't left or right. But that's kind of how I thought growing up. Like it drove me crazy when I was younger, still kind of does, that it's like you got to be grouped into one or the other. When I think most Americans are kind of down the middle, and there's certain things on the left and maybe even certain things on the right, depending upon where you're at, that you can agree with or kind of, I don't know, accept. I don't think too many people are huge far right or huge far left people like social media and mainstream media would like to portray. I think most of us just want a better country for ourselves and our kids. So whoever the candidate is that I think when an election comes up is going to be the right candidate to take our country in the right direction, that's probably who I'm going to vote for. Does it make a huge difference? Sometimes not, because it's just politics. So anyway, I don't want to go on a politics rant because that's not going to be great. But anyway, all right. So that's all the questions that we had posted on the community post. That's basically all I've got for today. Again, I just rambled. Not sure what else there is to talk about today. I don't want this video to go too long unless I've got some huge topic or something that I want to talk to you all about. But again, if you guys enjoyed this, if you watched it all the way to the end, leave me a comment below. If you have a chiropractic question, if you've got a general healthcare question, if you've got a personal question, if there's something about me that you would like to know more about or whatever, leave a comment below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is a little bit more fun, a little bit more laid back and relaxed than doing the reaction videos. If there's a certain type of video that you would prefer to see, I know some of you have left a lot of comments about, wanting to see me do adjustments. I have some of those videos a long time ago on the channel. The quality is terrible because it was filmed so long ago. We may do that in the future, but there's just so much of that on YouTube. It's not something that I really like to do. Plus the office is pretty busy. So to take the time to set up the camera and the lights and the audio to record that session and then to break down all that stuff just takes a lot of time. It's not something that I really enjoyed doing. It was frustrating back in the day to do that. So I don't know. If the opportunity comes around and there's a patient that I think will be a good candidate for that and it makes sense, we may do that. But anyway, if there's anything you guys want to see, man, please leave a comment below. I'll try to get to it and we'll try to make this channel even better and better. Thank you guys so much for watching the reaction videos. Thank you for leaving comments and likes and shares. But I guess that's it. This is definitely a rambling video. I've gone on long enough. Let me know if you liked it. If you didn't like it, I'll know because nobody's going to watch it. But we'll go from there. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.